Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Student. Welcome to the Academy of Chiropractic Doctors PI Program Consultations. I am very excited that you took the time to do this and make the commitment to your career, to your family, to yourself, just to be the best of the best through clinical excellence. Sit back and enjoy the consultations. Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Student, and today's podcast is going to be centered around, are you having fun in practice? Do you feel burnt out? This is something I hear on a regular basis from doctors around the country. Doctors who are considering joining our program and say, Mark, I love chiropractic. I'm just burnt out. I'm just tired. I mean, I do the same thing every day over and over. It's like, it's what do I do? And I'm looking for something. I'm searching. And I've been in the game a long time, almost 40 years, and I remember being back in the pits, seeing patients day after day, and it was great in the beginning. It was wonderful. And for me, and my turning point was asthmatics. I've never had an asthmatic that did not get better under chiropractic care. I mean, it just is. I mean, I developed this technique out of sheer fear and necessity. It's not that I'm good or smart or better than anyone. It's just I had it as a young man. His name was Keith. I remember it like it was yesterday. It had to be 30-something years ago. But his mom brought him in. He was literally cyanotic. He was blue. I was ready to dial 911, but I didn't think he'd make it until the ambulance got there. And he just said, "You got to do something." And I have no idea what happened. To me, the way I remember, it was almost like an out-of-body experience. But I said, I got to get this guy breathing. And I did a few technique things, and I don't want to get into that right now. And he started to breathe. And his mother said, I was just driving by and I saw, it said Dr. Mark Student, it said chiropractor, and I figured I got nothing to lose because medicine didn't help him. And I was going to go to the emergency room, and I've done that, dozens of times, and that never helped him. It just prolonged it. You're the only one that ever actually got him to breathe, and there's no drugs. And she brought him in, and the next thing I know, she referred a few other patients in, and they all got better. And after a little bit of time, everybody got better. Everybody, all the asthmatics got better. So for me, I did this for years, and it got to the point where someone who couldn't breathe threw all their drugs in the garbage, was blessing me up and down like I was the next coming, and all I did was a chiropractic adjustment, in a certain series of techniques. I got very blasé about it, and I said, Mark, I actually was walking on the beach. I live near the beach, and I said to myself, Mark, what is wrong with you? You are changing these people's lives. You're saving lives. One family, Jennifer's dad told me that, they actually mortgaged their house twice just to pay for her asthma drugs. And, they just threw them all in the garbage, and, now they could get back on their feet. And I was very blasé about it. I was not excited. I was not over the moon. And I said, something's not right here. And I said, well, I need something a little more. And then what I did was I got involved in politics at my state level. And, and I rose up all the way to, the executive board of director. We called it that instead of a president at that point in time. And, I did that. And, I was still in my practice, not very excited. But I got involved in politics until it almost cost me my family and my practice. And then I realized, again, another long walk on the beach, what the heck am I doing? And I fully ensconced myself back in my practice until I got bored again. And then I opened up a multidiscipline practice, with MDs and PTs. And, that was okay. And it had a tremendous amount of pitfalls. And, I got out of that. And I went into some, it was like I had one of my very, very, very dear friends, a guy named Michael Schoenfeld from New York, who's now practicing in South Carolina, used to say to me, Mark, you've got business ADHD. You are like so good at what you do, and why can't you focus on it? Because there wasn't more for me. And one day, treating patients, I actually broke my back. 2 compression fractures from doing side postures on big biker guys, because I love biker guys, even though I've never been on a motorcycle. But I treated these big guys, and I couldn't get them in side posture, so I dropped my body on their body. And I was, we saw hundreds of patients a week, a lot. And I adjusted a lot of patients a week. I was a high-volume practitioner. And from doing that so many times, left, right, drop body, by dropping my body on their body, I guess the vertebra just twisted back and forth, and it crumbled, and I lost 2.5 inches in height, laid on the floor for months. But I was into seeing a neurosurgeon because I wanted to see if they had a solution for me, which they didn't, by the way. But I went to see a Magdi Shadi, and Magdi's a neurosurgeon, a really nice guy. And we talked for a few minutes, and I told him I was a chiropractor, and I was seeing hundreds and hundreds of patients a week, and pretty much at the top of my game. I got to get back to work. And we started talking about spine and disc. And I looked at him and I said, Dr. Shadi, why don't you just send me your spine patients that don't need surgery? And he looked at me and he smirked. And he said, Mark, you're a nice guy. I'm sure in this chiropractic thing you're in the top of your field. But as far as I'm concerned, you don't know a thing about spine. And we talked about disc. And I gave him with full conviction everything I knew, which was about 10% of the truth and 90% of what I coined the old Chiro one-step, two-step. So he looked at me and he said, you're very nice. You don't know a thing about spine, especially about disc. You want me to refer patients to you when you don't even know the basics of spine? When you want to become a real doctor and learn about spine, well, you come talk to me. And he left the room. And then he said, by the way, I will take your patients and operate on them. It's just the bottom line. And I was working with him a little bit before that, not too much, but I left there insulted. My ego was bruised. I was mortified. I mean, this was, the nerve of him. I'm like the former president of my state organization. I see hundreds and hundreds of patients a week. I can help asthmatics get better. What do? Just cut patients open? I was infuriated. So I left and I walked out. And that night I couldn't sleep. And I said, you know what? Something's not right here. And by the way, this was in the 90s. The internet was just in its infancy. And I could look a little bit of stuff up on the web. But I had to go to the medical school library to take books out. And I had to sneak into the library. I live near the State University of New York at Stony Brook School of Medicine. I'm about a mile from there. So I snuck into the library and I learned that I didn't know a damn thing about spine. I knew about exam, x-ray, and adjust. I could tell you if there's osseous pathology in vertebra because that's what I studied. I could look at osseous pathology. I could look at joint derangements in knees, shoulders, elbows, and wrists. That's what I studied. But really, when it came to being a true spine specialist, I didn't know anything. I didn't know the difference between a herniated bulge, protruded, extruded disc. And here I was treating these patients. So I went back to school, and I snuck into the library regularly. Don't ask me how I did it. I befriended a neuroradiologist in the university with Cuban cigars, brandy, and big steaks because he was a foodie. Loves his brandy and loves cigars. And, he liked me, and because I bought him dinner all the time and took me under his wings and gave me an education. I spent years and hundreds of hours in the MRI center. But you know what happened? I learned. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. And the more I learned and wanted to learn, the more I got excited. And the more I got excited, I went back into my practice with a new level of excitement, and it was incredible. But now I couldn't adjust because I broke my back. I couldn't. But I was so excited to be there. I actually broke up that multidiscipline environment. We went back to chiropractic. It was just so exciting to be back in practice and look at this stuff. And when I looked at an MRI, I looked at the patient. And I took courses in spinal biomechanical engineering. At that point in time, ASBE with Ron Aragona was the only thing around. Oh, well, that's not true. Pettibon and Gonstead were around. But I studied Gonstead's work. And then I went into biomechanical engineering, and I studied and I learned. And about 3 years later, I met up with Dr. Shadi again on purpose. I made an appointment with him. He granted me 20 minutes of his time, which for neurosurgeons a lot. I went into his office. We spent an hour and a half talking disc and spine. He looked at me, he stood up, walked across the room where I was sitting, extended his hand. He said, "Give me a hand." I shook his hand. He said, "Welcome to the profession of spine specialist. Welcome to being a peer. Now you're one of us, and I have no problems working with you, referring to you, being with you." And I was excited, not the fact that he did that, but I was knowledgeable. It was so much fun. Now when I look at a patient, there's no guessing anymore. And you know what? To this day, I'm learning. I have learned so much about biomechanical engineering and concussion issues and spinal trauma pathology and ligament pathology. It's just fun. And you know what? I love being involved in chiropractic at every level. And doctors that I work with and my clients throughout the country all tell me, "Mark, you got to produce more of this stuff. It's fun. It's so much fun to be in the office and adjusting people. I look at them differently. I triage them differently. I'm able to chat with them. I'm knowledgeable. Lawyers, it's just easy. I mean, medical doctors, I'm orthos, neurosurgeons, pain management, physiatrists. Yeah, I'm teaching primary care. Do you know that the pain management doctor invited me into their practice to speak to their 10 doctors on certain new findings in MRI that you taught me, that I'm teaching them? This is so much fun. And there's so much to learn, it never ends. Listen, having fun in practice, and by the way, every single doctor is making more money. That's not why I do this, but they are. I mean, our doctors, if their take-home pay was under $100,000 after a year of being with me, that's after taxes, it went up 61%. If their take-home pay after taxes was between 100 and 150, it goes up 57%. And if it's over 150, it goes up 25%. And that's across the nation, purely based on your clinical excellence, which has nothing to do with fancy coding or anything. It's because the doctors are having fun, because the doctors' practices are growing, because they're neutralizing the insurance company's arguments with their knowledge. All their stress points have gone away. It's no longer stressful to be in practice. It's fun. And folks, there's so much more to it. So listen, if you want to have fun, why don't you start? You know, it's funny. You might say that I might tell you to come join our consulting program. We'll help you. But go to the U.S. Chiropractic Directory, which, by the way, is the most frequented website in our industry. We've got just about 20 million hits on there over the past 7 years. But it's the largest portal for pro chiropractic literature, which is all index peer review literature. Go start reading a few of the articles. Learn how chiropractic works. Learn why 85% of low back patients get better, where 90% of medical doctors can't even render a diagnosis. Learn why a certain number of percentage of migraine patients get better with chiropractic. And I mean, there's a very high number. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. It's all statistically based. It's all index peer review based. It's wonderful. That's where you start to have fun. If you want a business system that's going to teach you how to put all of that fun together so that you can have a bigger practice, make more money, and there's nothing wrong with making more money as long as it's done honestly and ethically. But if you want a business system, not a marketing plan or a disparate piece of research or this flyer or newsletter, that's all get-rich-quick stuff. If you want a business strategy, and remember, IBM, Ford, DuPont, General Electric, Harley-Davidson, they don't have a marketing plan. They have a business strategy, of which the marketing plan is a piece of. You need so much more than that. But that's what makes it so much fun, because you're never going to stop learning. There's so much to learn, so much to do. Listen, I could talk about this for hours. I love chiropractic. I love doing this stuff. It is so much fun. I know when I lay my hands and adjust a patient, I know the mechanism of it. And that's going to be another podcast. I'm going to explain to you what the mechanism of. I'm going to explain to you that there really is bone on nerve. Not quite how BJ and Didi put it years ago, but there is bone on nerve. It's wonderful. And I know if you don't fix them, their spine's going to degenerate. And I know if you get it early enough, you in fact can correct your patient. But if it takes a little bit, if they take a little bit too long to get to you, they're going to need to be managed, not fixed. Like a diabetic patient is managed for the rest of their life. Not just, and you can't fix them. It's physiologically impossible based upon human biomechanical principles. We're going to share all of that stuff with you, but it's so much fun to know this stuff. It's just so easy once you know and get better. You spiral upwards with the higher level of clinical excellence you have with being a true spine specialist. It is fun. Folks, this was great. Thank you for allowing me into your life for a few minutes, and I will catch you on the next podcast. And by the way, if you want to chat with me on any of this, call me. Here's my phone number. I'm going to count to 3. Get a pen. 3, 2, 1. 631 786 4253. That's 631 786 4253. Thank you, and have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed the podcast you just heard, and it's been my pleasure to bring this to you. Please understand that this is a very small piece of the puzzle, and it is my goal to bring you many, many pieces of the puzzle so that the picture can become clearer, your practice can thrive, chiropractic can thrive, and I at least can be a small part of that in your life, and it's my pleasure. So again, if you want to chat, give me a jingle, 631-786-4253. That's 631-786-4253. Or go to our website at Chiros.com. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you or chatting with you on our next podcast. Have a great day.